Hey guys, how's it going? So I've just come off watching a video on Facebook of one of my friends, Nikki, and she was talking about vulnerability and talking about the fact that she, most of all, was the one person that is always giving out to others, always helping other people, putting on that like really strong exterior. But when it comes down to it, she knew, in a sense, she was kind of depleting herself a lot because it's like, in a way, this is not her words, but it's like, in a way, she was kind of depleting the well and wasn't refilling it. Um, and I can relate to that a lot. I left a comment saying as much too, but I can relate to that a lot. And she then goes on to say about being, being vulnerable enough to accept help from others. And, I can totally relate to it because I've had this issue all my life. I know where my vulnerability comes from, and I know where that's what it's kind of done to me in my life. And I mean that vulnerability in a sense too, that it's kind of not that it's a bad thing necessarily, but I know how that vulnerability developed in a kind of negative sense. But on the other hand, in a sense, what it says, what I've been saying to the world is that it's not safe for me to be vulnerable. So I'm going to put this protective shield up. I'm going to put this persona on. I'm going to wear this persona so that people don't know how vulnerable I am. It's like a form of protection, and this is exactly what Nikki said. It was like, her strong self was a form of protection, and I think more than anything else, I see it like this for me personally. There's two sides to this story. There's there's a vulnerable me, a very vulnerable me inside who feels like they need to be protected, and then there's the big persona on the outside, the strong the strong person who's trying to protect this vulnerable person inside and stop any harm coming to that person, or that part of myself. And so, in a sense, what I've come to realize is that neither side is bad. Um, in fact, they are just two elements of myself which I need to bring together, need to work together, they need to communicate. So it's much like in some therapies you have in a child therapy. I don't know if you've ever heard of. There's lots of different therapies that kind of branched off of that, but there's a child and a parent in a sense, and it's kind of similar to that in a way, but we kind of hold many different personas in lots of ways. But it's kind of like that in a way. So it's almost like they have to, the two sides, they have to start to communicate, and they have to be open to being vulnerable with one another. And then there's that expression of that vulnerability, with regard to help from others outside of you, because quite often we can't do this alone, and sometimes it takes an outer perspective. In fact, many times it takes an outer perspective from somebody else, or some form of help from somebody else, to actually help us to come through this. And so that vulnerability, that 100% resonates with me. And one of the things that I need to do personally as well is really is start to more accept help from others, which I'm in the process of doing now. I'm getting better at this, but I still tend to retreat inside myself and try and sort everything out myself. And many times that doesn't serve me. So, if you're having any form of issues like this, um, you know, becoming vulnerable and taking those small steps, because it is small steps that you take over a long period of time. Don't expect too much of yourself. You will have times where you clam up, where you're not really willing to share anything. Just let those times happen, and just flow into it, and eventually you will start to feel the changes. But the most important part is to just kind of do it at your own speed. And as long as you are consciously aware of the process, you should be absolutely fine. So that's today's video, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you very